What's going on, guys? It's been a while since I've been on camera. I think it was February this year I left the company I was previously with. First of all, I want to say all you guys who've been reaching out on email and wishing me the best for everything I had going on, I just want to say thank you. Everyone that's kept my spirits up and been a real big support for me. This year's been pretty hard on me. We're going to get into a lot of it, but I just wanted to start off by saying that. So, we'll go ahead and address the elephant in the room. I've been accused online of a lot of things. Chucky with Jailhouse Drop-Off is also my cousin. And as he said in his video, we started bounty hunting about the same time. Well, actually it was the same time. I had gotten a job with a bondsman. I needed a partner, and they normally say there's nobody closer than family. So I called Chucky up, went to his house, we talked about it, and we got into it, and it was on from there. We caught a lot of people. Around the Summerville, South Carolina area, we were a force to be reckoned with, to be honest with you. We did a lot together, and then I got offered a job with Sinclair Bail Bonds, who's the bonding company that I used to work for with Brett. So I get offered a job with them, and I go to work with Sinclair Bail Bonds. Now, Brett is an acquired taste, I guess you could say, if you can ever acquire that taste. See, Brett has a lot of mental issues. He takes Seroquel, which is for schizophrenia and severe bipolar disorder. So working with him is not easy whatsoever. I mean, he's got like a trigger hair. Like anything you say could set him off. So first time I went off and worked for Sinclair Bail Bonds, we did real well for a couple of months. And then I must have did something that set him off. If I remember correctly, we were going to a house, and I had asked a question that made him upset somehow. And when Brett gets upset, he just starts calling you every name in the book. He'll talk shit about you. He'll talk shit about your life and your family. And there's nothing he won't bring up. He'll just talk as much shit as he can about you. It's just, I guess it's his mental disorder that makes him do that. So when he started talking to me like that, he stopped the car abruptly and looked at me like he wanted to fight. So I said, oh yeah, we're going to do this. So I took my seatbelt off, and he looked at me, and he's like, oh no, we're going to go ahead home. So then we drove home. I got in my car. I left. I texted the HR person at that time that I was done and I quit. He never said I was fired, none of that stuff. A couple of weeks later, I guess the HR lady had told Brett that I had texted her that I had quit, and he sent me this. Oh, by the way, you were fired the minute I turned the car home. That's funny that your little dumb ass would call Michelle and tell her you quit. What a pussy move. Don't forget you worked for me, not her. So that's the kind of person I dealt with. That's the text message I got from him on May 31st, 2021. He's got bipolar and severe mood disorders, so you just kind of got to take it sometimes, but unfortunately, I'm not a beta male. I'm not going to take that shit. So a couple of months go by. He ends up hiring me again because obviously I'm the best of the best. So I went back and worked with Chucky for a couple of months, and then I went back to Sinclair Bail Bonds. This time, I started taking on cases by myself under the instruction of the HR lady, Michelle, that I just mentioned in that text message. Well, he started to get upset that I was catching people. And so he called a meeting with the owner of the company. That's like his best friend. And so I walked into the meeting, and he immediately started, you little piece of shit, you motherfucker, this and that. And the owner of the company just sat there with a little smirk on his face the whole time, like it was funny. And so I laughed, shook my head. I said, I ain't dealing with this, and I left again. In videos past, I always said Brett fired me multiple times. And I said that to make a joke out of it. to try to lighten the mood around the elephant in the room between me and him every time we were around. But the reality is I quit. I quit twice. And a year before I quit the first time, I did a ride-along with him for like 2 days, and he just never called me back. So if he wants to count that as firing me for a job I never had, then whatever. So that's 3 times I've worked for Sinclair Bail Bonds and lost the job. So this most recent time, apparently he wasn't able to catch anybody. So the owner of the company actually called me personally and wanted me to come into the office and have a conversation. This was summer of 2022. So I go in there, I talk with the owner of the company, Mr. Sinclair, along with the new HR lady, Stephanie. And they tell me that they need another person. Brett's not doing the job good enough. Do I want it? I said yes. And I said, well, I don't want to work for him. So they said, well, you'll work under Michelle, who was still there at the time. She was the previous HR person that was now kind of just the bondsman at this point. So for a couple of months, I worked underneath Michelle, doing cases by myself. She would send me the files and tell me where to go, and I would go and I'd catch people. Now, I know some of you in the comments section were curious if I lost my job because I was going out and catching that guy by myself, the one that started the fight in the hospital. And the answer is no. As a bounty hunter, there's sometimes where you got to catch people by yourself. The reason I did it that night is because the information was just so good and so fresh, I had to get that done. Brett did the same thing. He actually had 15 years solo, completely by himself before he ever had a partner, so you don't get in trouble for that. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't even hire another bounty hunter unless he could catch someone by himself. Yeah, at least the simple ones. So as I was saying, they hired me on. I worked there for a couple of months by myself, and then I decided that I got tired of doing it by myself. I wanted to extend an olive branch to Brett. So what I did was I actually tracked down someone Brett couldn't find and then called Brett and offered an olive branch out saying, hey, I need some help with this. So he come down, we had a conversation, and we went back on the road. About a year later, some talk started to be had about possibly making a YouTube channel. So we started filming a couple things here and there, looking at our body cam footage to see if it was entertaining enough. And the first video was the guy that jumped out of the 2-story window and jumped on the roof and ran. That was actually just a fluke of a video because Brett just happened to have his phone sitting in his dash recording. And with that, Bloodhound Bounty was born. Now, me and Brett, we had a good time together, like a really good time. We caught a lot of people, we had a lot of laughs, and we were a force to be reckoned with. But unfortunately, there was things about him that we couldn't come in agreements on. I mean, him thinking that he had the right to talk to me any type of way, I couldn't take it anymore. That's really started the downhill journey of that. In the spring of last year, that'd be 2024, this really come to a head. We were sitting in the office, in one of the Sinclair Bail Bonds offices, and I remember I had just bought some new bullets for my 9mm, my Smith & Wesson I carry in all the videos. And I was showing one of the office managers, Aaron, the new bullets, and he was like, wow, those are really cool, and I was bragging that they were the same ones that the FBI use. I did research and bought those same ones. It's like the Hornady something, I can't remember what it is. And I remember making a joke about how Brett's bullets had been in his gun for almost 10 years and they were going to shoot out powder when he pulled the trigger because he never replaces them. Complete joke. Old Brett starts going off. He starts, you little piece of shit motherfucker, I'll talk so fucking down to you, you motherfucker, you ain't shit compared to me, I'll take your fucking career, blah, 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 blah. Once again, mental disorder. So I'd had enough, I stood up, and I walked over to him, and I said, you're not going to talk to me like that anymore. And what he did next haunts me to this day. He hawked the fucking loogie right in my face. I remember it hit me right here, and all over it sprayed. But the smell of it, I'll never get it out of my fucking brain. When he spit on me, I fucking snapped and I punched him in the mouth. He stood up and went to shove me and I punched him in the mouth again. And he turned his back to me and I punched him a couple times in the back of the head. And then this little coward pulled a taser out, stuck it around him like that, and shot me with his taser. When I fell on the ground, I ripped the taser prongs out, stood back up. He then pulled his gun out, stuck it in my face. At this point, I thought he was going to kill me. So I put my hands up, and he struck me over the head with it, and I collapsed on the ground. So there's nothing he's not willing to do in order to win something. It kind of baffles me that he's gotten in these comment sections. And I see the comments, Brett, because I know you're watching this too. I know you and Chucky are both going to watch this, and I haven't even gotten to Chucky yet. It baffles me that you're going to go on here and say this dumb shit in these comment sections. Oh, by the way, you're saying that I'm committing crimes against you by using the channel. You never own this channel. If you read the operator agreement, you own Bloodhound Bounty Productions, LLC. That's what you own. And last I checked, that company's been dissolved in July of this year. And also last time I checked, there's a stipulation in that operator agreement that if either party does something that would make continuing the company impossible, then the company dissolves. And like you like to say, you got me fired, or you fired me, however you want to say it. I'm going to get to what happened actually in a minute. So, me being removed from the company that we both worked for and made videos with would make it impossible. And if that wasn't enough, you're the one that deactivated the bank account, which would further make making videos and content and getting paid for it impossible. So the continuation of the company just couldn't stand. So the company's dissolved. You own nothing anymore. You own absolutely nothing. So, moving on to this year, February of this year. Once again, this started from Brett's, what's the word? Audacity, I guess you could say. It had already started to come to a head in the coming months before February, probably about November to January. Brett was getting lazier. He wanted to go home earlier, not wanting to do anything, and I was having to go out and look for people by myself out of necessity just to keep up with the bench warmers. Well, once again, he started kind of not liking that and kind of started saying stuff to me. And we called a guy named Jeremiah Maxwell in Columbia, South Carolina. I think this was the beginning of the end for me in January. Jeremiah Maxwell was wanted for murder. I had made some wanted posters with some reward money, and we had spread them all over Columbia. Someone had reached out to Brett, which his and my number were on the paper, and they negotiated a price in order for the person to tell us where he was. So she tells us he's either in this apartment over here or this apartment over here, but the girl's name is this. So we call the local U.S. Marshals, along with City of Columbia and Richland County Sheriff's Office. We hit the first apartment. Oh, and South Carolina Law Enforcement Division was there too. We hit the first apartment. It was a dead end. We go to the second apartment, and he's in there. They get him in custody. I end up walking in the apartment with the officers, and there's one deputy in there named Deputy Grant in Richland County that just doesn't like bounty hunters at all. And he tried to say I pointed my taser in his face, which I didn't. My taser was sitting here the whole time. I actually still have the body cam for that. And I was going to include a lot of footage in this, but I decided just to talk like this first to see what happens after this. So he accused me of that, and when we got back outside, I told him I didn't do that. And they started a big fuss and wanted to complain to Brett about it. So instead of watching my body cam, Brett was just like, yeah, fuck you, you're just going crazy. About a week later, I had tracked down, no, this was a couple weeks later, I had tracked down a dude that we had a warrant for in Berkeley County in Georgia. And then I also realized that there was a guy with an ankle monitor that was wanted in Richland County that was about 45 minutes away from that guy. So I told Brett, this was the day before Valentine's Day, I told Brett we should go there and grab the first guy, then drive 45 minutes up to the guy with the ankle monitor, grab him, bring them both back at the same time, so one trip. Well, Brett said, I don't want to do that, it's Valentine's Day tomorrow. Don't know why that mattered. And so all I texted him was, that's ridiculous. That's it. And that was enough to set him off to want to call a meeting with the owner of the company. So I get this text message the next day. And I'm going to read these to you verbatim. Just to let you know a little bit about what's going on with your services, they will be suspended as of this week. We will be having a meeting this week without you, and then there'll be a scheduled meeting this week with you. It is advised that you stay away from all offices and do not call any employees looking for answers. When the meeting can be scheduled, you'll be made aware of that date and time. So I woke up to that text message. I immediately called the HR lady, Stephanie, who said that that's a bunch of baloney and I can come into the office. So I texted him back. I said, I'm heading to the Charleston office to work on some stuff. Just talk to Stephanie. Have a good day. And so then he wanted to text me later that day to harass me some more and said, there will be a meeting tomorrow for you to attend at 11:30. You need to bring the bulletproof vest, the 3 cell phones the company bought, and Motorola radio based charger to the meeting. Have a good day. So that's what he texted. Now, I'm going to tell you now, when he texted me that, it pissed me off because I knew what he was going to do again, the same thing he did the first time he called a meeting. It was going to be a shit show where I would have to go in there and the owner of the company was going to let him just run his mouth and run his mouth and run his mouth like a little child, just wants to sit there and complain instead of coming to me like a man about our problems. He always wanted to bring other people into it. So I decided I wasn't going. I texted the HR lady. I told her I wasn't going. She begged me to go. She said I'd be fine. I'm not going to lose my job. And I said I'm not doing it. I'm not losing my self-respect over this man that wants to run his mouth. So I didn't go. And because of that, they sent me a termination email and said that I was terminated due to reckless decision making and failure to come in and meet with my employer. That's absolutely freaking hilarious. We're going to get into reckless decision making in just a minute. I have never seen anyone more reckless than Brett in this industry. I've watched Brett break into homes that we had no right to go into. I've watched Brett try to convince prostitutes and other women to show them their breasts and vaginas. I've watched Brett call African Americans the N-word repeatedly. I've watched Brett impersonate a law enforcement officer in multiple jurisdictions, flat out say he was with the sheriff's office. I've watched Brett slap a female in the face through a window to wake her up and tell her to go open the door so we can go in there and look for her boyfriend. I've watched Brett grab someone by the handcuffs that were behind their back and lift them up so much that his arm almost broke. And the messed up part is I reported all this to Sinclair Bail Bonds, to Stephanie with HR. As a matter of fact, I sent her a text message not too long ago, and I was telling her again about this. This started when I started to get emails from you guys about Chucky running his mouth in the comment section about me. There was something about liking Diddy or something. I guess he tries to make a stab at me because my grandfather was gay. My grandfather had a husband for 30 years. And so he knows that gay jokes really get to me sometimes. So he would say something like that to bother me to get at my grandfather. So when I saw that, I texted Stephanie. And this is what the text says. It would be in Sinclair Bail Bond's best interest and Brett's to cease all gossip about me online, specifically about homosexual references and about liking Diddy. I have been patient and kind through this bullshit, but I can assure you that if this continues, I will stop at nothing to ensure the person he is exposed to the world and, more importantly, to the police. He repeatedly impersonated a police officer, asked prostitutes to see their vaginas and breasts, and assaulted me in the presence of one of your managers. All of this is video recorded, and I can certainly provide everything upon request. My next stop is the police and the news. Make your choice. And this is the response from an HR person at one of the largest bail bond companies in South Carolina. Sinclair Bail Bonds, LLC, does not gossip about you online. Therefore, it doesn't involve me or my business. Good luck in all your future endeavors. That's their response to that kind of accusation. Didn't ask to see any video. Didn't ask for any clarification. Because you know why? Because they already knew about it. I've repeatedly reported him. They've even had people bring videos of Brett calling someone the N-word to their face on camera. Nothing about it. Nothing. And Brett, because I know you're watching this, there's a lot more. So I'm going to give you the opportunity now. This stuff needs to end. It needs to stop now. I don't know why you've decided to go after my life as much as you have. I don't know. I don't know why you've decided just to fuck with me as much as you could. I have no idea. But I will not back down anymore. I've stayed quiet, and I didn't say anything. So now let's get into the most recent debacle with me and Brett. A couple of months back, I had been hired with a little police department here in South Carolina. Went through the whole process, got the job. Well, the department's so small that they don't have a training unit, so I was sent to the local sheriff's office. Sheriff's office was training me here in Berkeley County, South Carolina. Well, one of those days, I believe this was a Friday, I had called Aaron, the office manager, that's close to the sheriff's office in Monk's Corner. I said, hey man, I got an hour lunch. You want to have lunch? He said, I can't leave the office. I said, well, I can bring you lunch. He said, well, I have this new girl working in here. I said, that's fine, I'll bring her lunch too. So I went to Chick-fil-A and I bought all of us lunch. And to prove that, I'm going to pull up my Chick-fil-A app. You see that? The top one? That's August 8th. That was the order that I picked up for me, Aaron, and the other girl. I think her name is Brittany. So I go in there and I pick the order up, take it back to the office, meet Aaron, meet this Brittany girl. And we start chatting, all of us. Aaron's talking, she's asking me questions about, getting into law enforcement. And then Aaron cracks a joke that I'll be looking for every Ford Fusion that I see come through St. Stephen's. And I was like, oh yeah. For those of you who don't know, that's the car Brett drives. I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see that. I'm going to give him a ticket. We all three laughed. That was it. Well, this girl apparently is some sort of shit starter. So she goes to Brett and tells him that I said that I'm going to be watching for him. And I'm going to pull him over and I'm going to target him and all this other shit. So Brett goes off the freaking deep end. Starts complaining to the HR lady. The HR lady tells the owner of the company that calls me and asks me about it. And I kind of lose my mind on the guy. I'm like, are you serious over a stupid joke? Whatever. And thought that was the end of it. So I continued training. I ended up going to the police academy. Well, after I finished week 5, while I was in the academy, Brett goes to the police department and tells the chief of police that I came into the office and made threats to target him. Left out everything else. Didn't even ask the office manager who was sitting in there when this happened what happened. He just took this girl's word and ran with it. So he tells the police chief that I said I was going to target him. So when I get back from the police department on Friday, the chief brings me into the office and says, well, this is some sort of accusation. And I had already told the chief about this the first time the owner of the company had called me. I'd warned him that he might come in and make a complaint. So he calls me and he asks me about it. And he says, well, he's like, you just got to be careful what you say. You're not in any trouble, but just watch what you say, and you're going to have to let this go. If you can't let it go, you might have to find another job. I said, I understand. He said, well, you're good. You go back to the academy Sunday, you got 3 more weeks. I said, yes, sir. So I left the office. Well, that weekend I had an epiphany. Why am I going to let go someone that treated me worse than anyone I've ever met in my life? On top of that, I was forbidden from responding to Chucky's little video the whole time I was in the police department. And I'm sure he knew that. That's why he put that video out there, because he knew I couldn't respond to it. So Sunday came. I came to the department, and I gave my resignation letter. I said, I'm sorry. I said, I've got to deal with this. Here's my resignation. Here's all the stuff back. He said, okay. So I left. I was not fired. I was not told to resign, or I would be fired. Brett had nothing to do with that. The only thing he had to do with was give me my spunk to stand up for myself again. So another thing that he gave the chief of police was he made up this trespass notice for all the Sinkler bail bonds offices in South Carolina. And it's funny, the HR lady created some sort of sheet on top that said this is necessary due to you coming in the office and making threats to our employees and false statements. And she said that their employee safety is their top priority. Well, you didn't say that last year when he spit in my face, shot me with a taser, and struck me in the head with a firearm, now did you, Stephanie? No, that was just fine. Her excuse for not firing Brett when that happened is we went to work together after that. We went and caught people after that happened, so we were obviously fine. That was her excuse. That's an HR person for one of, if not the biggest bail bond companies in South Carolina. And so that's the deal with Brett. And Brett, I'm going to tell you what's in your future. All this video I have of you doing exactly what I've accused you of doing in this video, it is being sent to law enforcement. I am writing statements. I am sending this to everyone that needs to see it, including Rashad Boulware. You remember him? He's the guy that got away from you because you were too stupid to stay in the backyard like I told you to, and he jumped out the window and got away from us. So Brett got mad and went into his house and stole his gold chains and watch. Had him in a brown paper bag in his car for a while. Then he buried him in the lake behind his house because he was afraid he was going to get caught. Then he tried to tell me to delete the body cam footage of him doing that. He thought I did. Oh, but I'm not that stupid, Brett. I was never that stupid. That's going to be sent to Rashad Boulware and his mother as soon as I can get a good number for them. I've been looking the past couple of days. This stops now. I've warned you repeatedly. Leave me alone. But now we're going to get into the portion of the video from the person I think is starting all this shit, Chucky. Now, for those of you who don't already know, me and Chucky are cousins. My grandmother and his mother are sisters. So we grew up together. Hell, he even babysat me when I was a kid. So when I called him to get into bounty hunting, there was one big problem. He's a convicted felon. When he was younger, he liked to steal cars and steal rims and smoke a lot of weed, which I really don't care about weed, but I'm sure that was a factor. And even to this day, he likes to brag about how many cars he stole and got away with. So if you want to talk about who's a bad person, I think that fits the definition. So Chucky had to get licensed to be a bounty hunter. A bail runner is what it's called in South Carolina, runner bondsman. And in South Carolina, you are allowed to be a bondsman if you're a felon, but it's been over 10 years. So when he applied for it, they required just a buku of information. They required all these tax returns. They required criminal history and explanation of every charge. They required him to go up there and have an interview and to write statements. And I helped him with all that. And so once he fixed all that, then he had to take the class and the test. Well, he couldn't pass the test. 2 times he tried to pass the test and he couldn't do it. So I had to help him cheat on his bail runner's test, which is illegal, and I'll admit that that's illegal for him. It's morally corrupt for me, I guess you could say. So if you want to say I'm a bad person for helping him get a job to feed his family and put my own career on the line, then you can say what you want. But he had to cheat using my help to pass the runner's exam. That's going to be reported to DOI, by the way. The DOI is going to be made aware of that on this week. I've already talked to them about what would happen if you reported someone for cheating on it. You want to know the penalty? Your license is permanently revoked. Because any fabrication of any information in order to obtain a license makes you ineligible to have the license. And heck, they might fine me $1,000 or $2, but I can afford it, so whatever. So as I said earlier, I had went back and forth with Chucky and Brett, because every time I get into it with Brett, I'd go back to Chucky and work with him a little bit until 2022, when I pretty much permanently went on with Brett. Well, the thing about Chucky is he's always been jealous of me, because he'll never be what I am, a real bounty hunter. Chucky is and will forever be a backdoor guy. He's had a couple of interesting captures here and there, but nothing like me. He doesn't have anything on me. Doesn't have anything on Brett. I'll give it to Brett that he's one of the best of the best. I'd say I'm better, but still, Brett's cut from the same cloth. So every chance Chucky had to start shit with me, he would start shit with me. I remember one time, so if I ever call you on the phone and you answer, one of the first things I say, and I got this from Brett, is, "What are you doing?" That's just what I say. And one time I called Chucky, this was a couple years back, I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Who the fuck are you to ask me what the fuck I'm doing? I don't got a fucking answer to you," and that started a whole fucking fiasco with him. And it took weeks to try to fix that. Another time I had called his boss to ask about a bond that he had on a person that we also had a bench warrant on, a Sinclair bail bonds. And Chucky texted me accusing me of trying to take his job or something. Just always starting shit. So now we'll get into the most recent debacle with me and Chucky. Since Chucky says that I edit stuff out and I don't show you, by the way, to address that claim, the stuff that I edit out is Brett doing the shit I accused him of doing. But if you think I've done something corrupt, please name the case, and I will post the whole body cam footage unedited. So Chucky, name the case you think I did something corrupt in, since that's your accusation, saying I got forced out of the bail bond industry. I know your house must stink if you have a cow pasture in there. I just assume you have a cow pasture because the amount of bullshit that you said in that video is just fucking hilarious. So anyways, back to the story. Chucky has a little dude named Tyler. I'm sure you've seen him in some of his earlier videos. Tyler, I've never really liked. You know, Tyler got investigated for sending genital photos to a little girl a couple of years back. And Chucky likes to tell everyone about that. And for some reason, Chucky still allows him around his little girl. I don't know why. Well, Tyler decided to run from the police on a dirt bike. He got tased in the process and fell off the dirt bike. He got back on the dirt bike and got away from the police. So Chucky called me one night and started bragging about that. I said, "What the hell?" I was leaving my house and I happened to see some officers of this town at a gas station. So I pulled in and I asked them if they had someone run on a dirt bike. And they said, "Yeah, they're looking for him." And I said, "Well, this is who it is." So I told them who it was. I don't care. It's a misdemeanor charge, a failure to stop for a blue light. Chucky found out that I told the cops that it was his buddy Tyler. And at first I denied it. Obviously I was going to deny it. I didn't really want to start anything with Chucky, but you know, you can't run from the cops and put other people's lives in danger on a dirt bike and just expect that's okay. So Chucky and his wife decided to go and hide the kid somewhere else from the cops after I told the cops who it is. And then Chucky starts this big debacle with me. I'm the biggest piece of shit that's ever lived. That is where the accusation in his video comes of him saying that I get some type of information on you and one day I just burn you. That's the accusation that's coming from. Except it's Chucky that does shit like that. Because let me tell you what Chucky did in response to me telling the cops about a crime that happened. A week or two after that, there was the South Carolina Bail Agents Association meeting in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Chucky in his recent video talked about this because they just had another one back in October. And Chucky called it a bounty hunting convention. That's not what it is. It has nothing to do with bounty hunting. It's all about bail bonds. You have to go and research your bondsman license once a year, and you have to do continuing education. It's all about bail bonds. It has nothing to do with bounty hunting. So knowing I was going to be up there, Chucky told that kid to go to my house and mess with my wife. He told that kid to go to my house and tell my wife that I was cheating on her with some drug addict girl that had been an informant for us at one point, and then he had arrested her on the bench warrant at another point. And he just spewed a bunch of this garbage crap, saying that I was going to meet up with her in a hotel to get it on with her, and I was putting money on her books, and I was doing this and I was doing that. Don't know where he got half of it. The only true thing that he said was she called me from the jail one day while I was at his house. And that's true, she did. I have a bad habit of trying to help people that are on drugs. I've gotten a lot of people in a local rehab here in Berkeley County, men and women. And she was one that I was trying to get in the rehab, and she had called me one day. And the only person that knew that was you, Chucky, and your wife. And so that's the only place he could have got that from. So you sent someone to my house to try to convince my wife that I was cheating on her. And it worked a little bit. I come home to my wife screaming and crying, and it's been hell for the past year. We've been through a lot of marriage counseling. We've done a lot of talking. I've admitted stuff to her that she didn't know before, and we've worked a lot of it out. So I guess I do got to thank you for that a little bit. Now, I've never gone and done nothing like that to you. I didn't go tell the cops that you're a convicted felon with multiple firearms in the closet at the foot of your bed, like our grandfather's revolver, or that Kel-Tec foldable sub that you have. I never went and told social services that you smoked marijuana within inches or feet of your daughter at the same table and allow multiple other people to come in your home and smoke marijuana with her in there as well. I'm almost positive she tests positive for marijuana. That's how much you smoke around her. I never told your wife that you cheated on her with the girl that works at the Mexican restaurant whose dad owns it. Right after your daughter was born, that y'all spent so much time and years trying to have. I've never told, until this coming week, the Department of Insurance that you cheated on your bail bond exam. I'm going to. So, all this information that I gather on people, I don't tell anyone. But if I do, it's because someone needs to know. And someone needs to know about you. And here comes the biggest accusation you've made against me. You're claiming that I hacked into one of the most secure databases on the planet and deleted all your videos. That's your accusation. You made this whole debacle accusing me of hacking in to YouTube's framework network, whatever the fuck that is, and deleting all your videos, just like that. Like, I'm just the first person that come to your mind. And then you said in your video that you called me and called me out on it. And I said that I was going to put your face on your daughter's shirt, trying to insinuate that I just randomly started threatening you. Here's what you actually said. What?
What'd you do?
What do you mean what I do?
What'd you do?
What do you mean what did I do?
What'd you do?
Did I do with what?
What'd you do?
I don't know what you're talking about, bud.
You hear me?
Huh?
You hear me?
I hear you do what?
You hear me?
What are you talking about?
You know what's about to happen. You know exactly what's about to fucking happen. And you're about to find out why you don't fuck with me. And you're about to really find out why you don't fuck with me.
Okay.
And you're gonna find out why you don't fuck with me.
Okay.
You just fucked up.
Okay.
And
Is that a threat?
No. That's a fucking promise. You already know me, Brandon. You know my background. So you just opened up a whole can. And I already know your address and everything. So don't think you go fucking hide.
Okay. Well, if you come over here, you're going to jail. You're going to jail.
I'll see you tomorrow. You think I'm going to jail? You're going in the ground, buddy.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna find out.
All right. I'm recording this call and I'm calling the cops.
Good. Good. And let them know that you hacked all my stuff.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but I'm calling the cops. Good luck to
you.
you.
Call.
I'm calling.
Call them because they're gonna need to stand at your doorstep. I promise you.
Okay.
Call them.
I will call the cops.
What you just did, you already know what you did. And I can prove you did it because you're the only one that's ever been on my YouTube.
Okay, well, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Okay. Watch what happens and I'll know what the fuck you're talking about.
Okay.
So, Brandon, you knew when you did that, you was crossing the line, buddy.
Yeah, Chucky, dude, don't do it to yourself. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
There's no way. My YouTube channel with all my videos will not get deleted.
So that's Chucky calling me and calling me out on it, okay? The video goes on to some more. He just repeats the same thing repeatedly. He's going to come put me into the ground and all this shit. And, you know, I showed this to the sheriff's office, and I could have put you in jail because that's called unlawful use of a telephone. And I really didn't want to. I really didn't want to cross that line. Because further on in the video, you go on to tell me, when I keep telling you I'm going to have the cops over at my house, that you're going to put them in the ground too. They were not happy about that part. I don't know what has gotten into you the past couple of years, but I am going to put an end to it. I am going to press charges now for you doing that to me, for you threatening me, telling me you know where I live, you know my address. Oh yeah. I was willing to let it go for a long time, but not anymore. And I'm not worried about you. You said something in that video that made me laugh so hard. You said that I'm going to be arrested and you hope I miss court and you hope they give you the warrant to come get me because you'll come get me. First of all, that's not how bail bonds work in South Carolina. You can't just get a warrant for somebody that's not bonded out with your company. Also, I want to throw this out there. There is no circumstance where you will ever be brave enough to put your hands on me. I even saw your little comment talking about how I should have met you somewhere and threw hands. Chucky, you don't stand a chance. You don't stand a chance. I'm not even afraid of you in your full bounty hunter gear because you have that fake gun on your hip because you're not allowed to carry a real firearm. So your little pepper ball or rubber round little fake gun, your airsoft gun you carry around, that doesn't scare me. See, unfortunately, when you become a convicted felon like you are, you lose the right to ever run your mouth again and want to fight. So guys, that's really what happened. That's what's going on. Again, Brett, Chucky, I don't want to do this to you. I don't want to ruin you. I don't know why you decided to target me on the internet. I don't know why, Chucky, you couldn't just accept the job and go on about your life. By the way, I just want to throw this out there. You didn't take a job from me. I never thought you took a job from me. If you could have taken my job from me, they would have just fired me and hired you just to hire you. And that's not what happened. On top of that, they didn't actually hire you. They hired Michael. When Mr. Sinkler called me and asked about Michael, I gave Michael a good recommendation. You were just part of the package. You're just a backdoor guy that they use. But as I was saying, I really don't want to do this to you. I don't. I really wish we could find some sort of common ground, somewhere to agree to disagree and move on with our lives, but you guys won't let me go. You won't stop interfering with my life. And I already know, Chucky, I know you go into the offices and run your mouth about me. They all call me. Jared calls me. Aaron calls me. The Upstate calls me. I hear all of it. I hear all of it. Everything you say about me, I hear it. And I bet as soon as you got in there, into that job, you started getting in Brett's head and talking all this crap about me. And you tried to do that with all my friends in the bail industry, and it hasn't worked. Did you tell Brett that I commented on one of your videos earlier this year when people were asking about me and told them I was doing fine? And so you blocked my comment, and I sent you a text message telling you I still love you, and I wish we talked more, and I wish you didn't hate me? Bet you didn't. Bet you didn't tell Brett I've tried to fix this relationship a bunch of times. I bet when that girl said that, what she said, that I claimed I was going to pull Brett over, I bet you just worked your way into his head as much as you could. Because you're a conniving little slum, is what you are, and that's what you're always going to be. But it's looking like the only way to show you guys you're not going to interfere with me anymore is to do what I said I was going to do. So with that, good day. I said good day. Hey guys, just throwing this in the video. I told you guys there was going to be an announcement. So I went back to bounty hunting because I'm not going in law enforcement anymore. And big news is Bloodhound Bounty is returning in the spring of 2026. Throughout the winter, we'll be filming some new episodes. Be some good captures. Already have a couple of them under my belt. So hope to see you then.